guys, in today's episode on the TDSM podcast, I'm really excited because we have Angel from the Passive Income Angel YouTube channel and podcast here revealing the top print-on-demand design trends of 2025. So not only are we going to hear about her and her story, but we're also going to uncover the top 2025 trends for print-on-demand this year. So you are definitely going to want to stay until the end. So let's get into this episode. All right, and welcome, Angel, to the TDSM podcast today.
Thanks so much for having me on, Hannah.
Awesome. Well, I'm super excited for you to be here. You are a wealth of knowledge, but for everyone that doesn't know you, I would love for you to do a little intro of yourself. Who are you? What are you doing? What have you done? And yeah, what are you working on currently?
Sure. Yeah, so my name is Angel. Some of you may know me as Passive Income Angel on YouTube and TikTok. And basically, I just create educational content around Etsy, print on demand, creating and scaling a small business. And I got started with Etsy 5 years ago now, which is crazy to say. And I initially got started, I was a full-time teacher. I had a small child, an 18-month-old daughter at the time, which our family has grown even since then. So now we have 2 children. But anyways, I was working 9 to 5. I was an elementary school teacher and adjunct professor for a local university. And we really wanted to add another income stream. And initially, I was actually going to create cabochon earrings. I'm actually wearing them right now. And I was going to sell those on Etsy. And while I was exploring how to sell, my products online on Etsy, on YouTube, I came across a video about print on demand. And at first, it was like, is this too good to be true? Because normally when something is too good to be true, like it is. But it was just like, wow, you can actually create a business, like a scalable business without any inventory. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized it was a legitimate business model and that I could really scale a business to 6 figures or more in pockets of my time, even though I had a full-time job and a family. And I was able to do that. So my first year, it's not like I took off immediately. It took me well over 100 listings. It took me several months, a few months to get, at least a month to get my first sale, and about 3 to 4 months to get a listing to actually gain traction and before I got my bestseller. And so it didn't happen overnight, but I just was all in. And in my first year, I was able to revenue over 6 figures in my business. And so since then, I did that first year, I joined a small mentorship group where I met Cassie Johnson, Jenny from the shop, and they're the ones who encouraged me later on in about year 3 to create to consider creating educational content on YouTube and TikTok because they just felt like I could add a lot of value to the print on demand community and the Etsy community. So here I am.
That's awesome. And that's awesome that you got connected with people like Cassie and Jenny. I don't know if you've actually ever met Simply Shauna, but you remind me kind of her because she has that very educational background as well. So that's awesome.
I have met her and I love her. I love her content. I love her as a person.
Yeah. Similar vibes. She's the best. And so I feel like every coach kind of Etsy mentor, whatever you want to call us, we all kind of thrive in one certain, everyone thrives in a lot of different things, but I feel like for you specifically, you're really nailed in. You're really tied into sharing and educating people on how to locate trends, how to predict trends that are coming up, and doing all that research for your shop. So how do you help sellers particularly do that for their shop? Because it's really, really important, especially in print on demand, is you're constantly innovating and updating your product line. How do you approach your trend search and stuff like that?
So for me, my shop really changed trajectory when I understood trends and how to jump on them and how to incorporate them into my designs and listings. So when I first started, I really was more of a trend chaser. So a trend chaser, and that's definitely what I was in the beginning. What I did was I would notice a listing taking off on Etsy or a niche taking off on Etsy. And I would just create something similar. I'd put my own spin on it. But it was very similar to already what was on the market. And I wasn't really adding new value to the market. And so I wasn't getting very much traction. Maybe I would get a sale here or there, but not a ton of sales. And once I realized how to become a trendsetter, to recognize gaps in the market and adding new value, that's when my shop really took off. And so it's just that's why it's really important is you really want to be a trendsetter, not a trend chaser, because if you're chasing a trend, you're already too late. And so it's just being able to recognize gaps in the market. So for example, an aesthetic trend that's really popular right now is the coquette aesthetic. And
What is
people
that?
who reckon the coquette aesthetic is like very girly, very
Okay.
feminine. And it has bows. Like it's the,
Okay.
anytime you see a
I
design with
don't even
a
know what
bow
this
on
is.
it.
Okay, we're
Yes.
gonna put something on the screen here to show you what that is.
Anytime there's a bow, like you see a design with a bow on it, it's almost always coquette.
Oh, wow.
It started taking off about a year ago, maybe a little less than that, maybe 9 months ago, but it's really taking off now. In fact, searches on Google Trends is indicating that it's really taken off. People are specifically searching for coquette now. And I think that the design trend is going to continue into 2025. And so people who recognize that early and then brought that design trend to lower competition niches. So instead of just saying Valentine's, you would do Valentine's for teachers or Valentine's for nurses. And they brought that design aesthetic to those niches. Early, they were rewarded. So that's just like one example of why it's really important to be in tune to trends, because it helps you to identify gaps in the market. And so it helps you to stick out in the market.
And then where do you go to, like, any external sites to do this research to stay ahead? Or like, for instance, like, I don't do print on demand, but like, for example, like one of our go-tos for like home decor or color palettes or new materials is like Anthropology or like a West Elm. So in the print on demand space, do you kind of have something similar that you advise people on?
I do. However, it's important to keep in mind that, believe it or not, Etsy really is a trend-setting website. I didn't
Okay.
realize that until I really took off on Etsy myself. And I had listings featured in Good Housekeeping and in Vox News and Huffington Post, where news, like their fashion editors were contacting me. And that's when I realized, like, oh, actually, Etsy, it really can be a trend-setting spot. Now, a lot of sellers do go to outside sources, and I do too, to kind of round out their trends and trend spot early. Believe it or not, Temu, AliExpress, Amazon, Target, Anthropology is a good one. But really, if you have a targeted audience, like if you're targeting a specific audience, if you're targeting millennials, if you're targeting moms, young moms, things like that, depending on what your audience is, you really want to familiarize yourself with the audience and what resonates with them and where they shop at. And that's where I would look for your trends, because that's where it's going to be like most applicable to you.
100%. Really, really, really good advice. Moving back into a little bit of the trend topic. So why do you think like trends really matter for sellers, or what happens if a seller doesn't value following trends in some sort of way or fashion?
So I, as a mentor for Printify, as a seller club mentor, I get to analyze a lot of new shops who are oftentimes are shops that they're struggling to gain traction. They're struggling to gain visibility. And the first thing that I often notice is that their designs aren't reflecting the current aesthetics that are in demand. Where they just kind of found some clip art that they liked, or some elements, threw it together, or they just have some text and they didn't really pay attention to the fonts that are trending. And and so they're not getting any traction. They're not getting visibility because their aesthetic isn't on trend to what's in demand right now. Now, some people have a misconception about trends. That they think that, like, oh, it's just going to be like a fad that like fades out in a week and like who cares? So which is not true. Now there are some trends that happen, like say like a famous person wears a t-shirt, and it suddenly goes viral. Like I typically don't jump on those because those don't have longevity. They really are just like a flash in the pan kind of trend. And so I don't ever jump on those. But the ones that are often like aesthetically driven or in the news cycle, those are the ones that have a lot of longevity, where you could get sales on those for years to come because it's an aesthetic that's gaining traction. Like the coquette, it's gaining traction. I think it's here to stay. I don't think it's going anywhere. When I first entered the scene onto Etsy, leopard print was really big, and and it kind of went out of style. Like it did go out of style, but like the demand went down. And just in the last like 2 months on Google Trends, it's like had the biggest search trend in a long time, like in like 10 years. And so it's like gone back in style, like back in demand. And so I'm noticing my listings with leopard print are picking back up. And so just that was like one example of a design aesthetic that like had longevity.
That makes sense. And it's, I mean, I guess the name of the game with selling anything physical product or digital product is exactly what you're saying. It's trends. Like it's like adapt or die, basically. And that was really aggressive.
Absolutely.
But it's the same thing for us in physical business, but especially in fast fashion, right? It's just like it's a never ending cycle of what's the new thing that's out there. So it's very, very, very important.
Now it's also powerful for us because like with fast fashion, which is what print on demand is, we're able like to recognize a design trend or a topic trend or maybe something in the news cycle and hop on it like that day. Whereas big box retailers, it takes them like 6 months to a year to hop on a trend. So it really is, it doesn't have to be, I think it can be intimidating to like, oh no, I have to keep up on trends, but it's also a unique opportunity for us.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Interesting stuff. Very good, interesting stuff, Angel. So, all right, now I think we are going to reveal, or you are going, not me, you are going to reveal what are some of the spring 2025 trends. So I think this is going to be a very important part of this podcast episode. So make sure you save this spot in the video if you need to rewatch it. So what are the 2025 upcoming or in right now happening spring trends that print on demand people should really be paying attention to?
So there are lots of them. I'll cover some of the top ones. One of them is monochrome. So basically where you have a single color design, oftentimes on the exact same color of the like item, their product, or like a shade, like a variant shade of it. So for example, a white sweatshirt with a white design. Often like if you're into embroidery, that's huge. So like where the stitch color is the color of the item. So that's really huge right now. And then like this is kind of like reminds me of like the espresso color with comfort colors. Like this with a white design. This one's brown, but like if it were white, or like a cream shade where it's like a color shade of the brown. Like example, that would be an example where it's just like one single color.
We'll put visuals here for everyone to see. So,
absolutely. So it's like one single color.
Yeah,
that's huge. Cool. And I think to me, like it's a people see it as it's a high, like it's perceived as higher value. So like I was just on a coaching call where we were talking about this design aesthetic and like how it's trending. And one of the members commented and said, my son, he's like, he's a teenager and he will spend like $65, $75 on a t-shirt with monochromatic designs because to him, it's like perceived higher value. So that's definitely a big trend right now is monochromatic designs. And then of course, retro is really big, specifically like the retro checkers inside of the text. That's super huge right now with university font. So like that combination. And then if you add coquette, chef's kiss. Okay. So if you add a bow to that, you are money. So that's a really big trend right now. Another one is vintage. Vintage is still in, minimalist. And a lot, the mental health niche is like really taking off, but like usually it's like funny puns and like super simple phrases, like overstimulated, things like that. With like really minimalist, trendy fonts, things like that. That's really on trend right now. So those are some of the top ones. And then also like, I forget what it's called. Like it's a collage, but it has like a quilt, like it's like a quilt checkered pattern. And it's like 3x3. And like every other one is like checkered. So like this one will be a solid color and then like a graphic here. That's really popular right now. So those are the top ones. And then if you want more on my channel on YouTube, on Passive Income Angel, my YouTube channel, I did an entire video all about the top 2025 trends, including color trends, product trends, aesthetic trends. Like I cover it all. So make sure you check that one out because I could talk for an hour about like the top 25 trends.
Yeah, yeah, and I would especially go to that video too, because we're putting up some shots here, but I'm sure that one goes way more in depth with
Yes.
fonts, colors, all the things. So that's really, really valuable. Again, I am not the authority to talk about this space because I do not do this. I don't do print on demand. I'm not sitting there designing. So that's super huge. So just thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing all that information. So also another crazy thing you're doing on top of everything else that you have going on is you are a Printify Sellers Club mentor. And
Yes.
obviously, like we say, like I'm not in the Printify space. I don't even know what that means, but I know that that is additional. I'm not sure what type of resource that is, but what is that? Does it cost money? What is your role in it? And what kind of, I guess, results are you seeing in there? Like what's actually happening in this mentorship?
Sure, yeah. So it is a Printify community. So it's a
Mhm.
community owned by Printify, created by Printify, and basically it's you can try it for a week for free. I'll have Hannah throw a link to it in the description box. But it's only $5 a month after that. So for like
Okay.
like less than the cost of a latte, you get all of these amazing resources. So for example, we do there's a variety of mentors, and their
Mhm.
areas of expertise are a little bit different. So like mine is obviously Etsy. There's someone who is more of an expert in Shopify. We have
Mm.
someone who is a TikTok shop expert. So we have different platform mentors who sort of their expertise are on different platforms. We have someone who is like a Facebook ads expert, things like that. And they have live webinars weekly. So there are events that you can
Mm.
RSVP to, or you can watch the replays. So that's a huge resource. And then
Mhm.
we also have like our own spaces where we post trends and tips and advice. So like almost like a blog. And then it also has a trend space where Printify actually will post trends that they're noticing on their end, which is really powerful because then you get access to like insider information and data that helps you to make like really strong data driven decisions for your business, which I love.
Mm.
And then there's also in-depth courses. So it's just like an amazing resource for like the cost of a latte. So definitely check it out if you're looking for a community like that. And also you get a community of like-minded individuals. That's something that a lot of new sellers need. I didn't realize like how unique being an entrepreneur was until I became one, because I didn't realize it. But like everyone I knew had a 9 to 5, and whenever a milestone happened, like you got your first sale or your 100th sale, or you figured out how to sync your shop with Printify, or all those molehills that you have to get through. When I would share with my family, they were just like, "Oh, great." Like they didn't understand like what a big deal these things were.
Yeah.
And you're kind of alone. And so to have a community is really powerful. So
Yeah.
I that's just one of the perks.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think some of the biggest growth that I've ever made as an entrepreneur was not obviously doing the thing in the school of hard knocks, but being around like the biggest aha moments or the biggest things that created a shift that affected my business, in a lot of ways
Mhm.
was always being around other like-minded people. So I definitely agree. And for
Absolutely.
that price, I don't know, you can't really beat it. So you also run a YouTube live stream podcast. What
Yes.
motivated you to start that? And I know I highlighted what I think, makes your content unique, but I'm curious to hear, what do you think, what really makes you stand out in this mentorship space?
So yeah, it's called the Wednesday Grind. It's on my YouTube channel, Passive Income Angel, every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. In fact, we're going live together, you and I, at 1 o'clock. So if you're just tuning into this, obviously this was pre-recorded, so this will be posted like next week or in a couple weeks. There will be a replay, but Hannah is coming on to the Wednesday Grind today, where we're going to dive into like Etsy ads and really demystifying some of the struggles when you're first launching ads and how to be profitable with ads and how to grow your shop faster with Etsy ads. So super excited for that. So tune into that. But basically, I wanted to create um, a space where people could go to ask questions with people who have been successful on Etsy live. I felt like that was like a gap in this community, in the print and demand community, in the Etsy community, was somewhere where people could go and get a little bit more support live. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely tune in every Wednesday to my channel. I bring someone new on pretty much every week. And then some weeks I just do workshops where I just cover a specific topic and do a deep dive into that topic. Sometimes it's a trend. It just depends on what's relevant at that time. My last one was actually about Etsy taxes and like updates there. but yeah, it's just a really cool resource. I've had Cassie Jansen on recently. We covered all about mockups, and because mockups are really like an important aspect to your conversion rates on Etsy and getting sales, so that was super valuable. We talked all about that. I had George from Etsy Mentor on, and he shared his formula for how he scaled his business to over $4 million. So that was really exciting. I also had I'm trying to think of who else, Heather Johnson on, and we just talked all about strategies to grow your shop, as well as the top 2025 trends that we're noticing. So yeah, just a really cool resource that I would have liked to have had as a new seller.
Yeah, you are just one big resource bucket and super, super connected. So like we said, guys, make sure that you go to our description and get all her links, because I'm sure any question that you have, the answer is going to exist somewhere in her repertoire. So what other like exclusive Printify insights and seller strategies could you share with us? Like, I know you are working with them. So you're, like you said, you have access to data that like the average seller just doesn't see, maybe not even in tools. What are some of the things that you're seeing with having, access to that type of information?
Sure. Well, their new personalization tool is really, I think, a game changer, especially as they add to that. So that's something to keep an eye out for. I think that George from the Etsy Mentor, he's going to be doing a walkthrough in the free events of the Sellers Club. So even if you're not a member, you're like not a paid member, you can attend that for free. So that's something to keep your eye out for. But as far as specific products, in the trend section in the Sellers Club, they actually, like I said, they share like their data and their like month over month growth data for products, as well as their year over year growth. And some of those were actually the tough phone case is really taking off. That had a huge percentage increase month over month. So the cell phone cases for Printify, as well as, I'm trying to remember here. Actually, let me pull this up.
Was blanket the big one?
Yes. Okay. So scented soy candles.
Okay.
Of course, comfort color shirts, guys. Comfort color shirts. You need to hop on that. Woven, and the new woven blankets are really taking off. So those are just a few of those examples of products where Printify is really seeing a month over month growth increase in demand for those products.
Okay. Cool. Very cool. Interesting stuff. Right? Live from the source. Angel, this has been super valuable. Let's go into just some more, I don't want to call it speed round questions, but just more to the
rapid fire. Go.
Okay. So what is your number one SEO tip for Etsy sellers or getting found on Etsy?
To make sure that you're using keywords, long tail keywords. Okay. So long tail keywords are like they're lower competition and they're like a little bit more descriptive. So for example, if you were listing in the St. Patrick's Day niche, I wouldn't just have like St. Patrick's Day shirt. I would have the audience. So is it for women? Is it for men? Is it for children? Is it for toddlers? And then I would have like the design, is it clover? Is it shamrock? Things like that. So where you're adding long tail descriptive keywords, because then it's easier to find you. And, keep in mind tools like eRank, Everbee that help you to find high search, low competition keywords. And, use those tools to your advantage to use words that are lower competition, but also in demand.
Awesome. And for sellers that are just getting started out in 2025, what would be the best piece of advice that you would give them?
The best piece of advice is to focus on the tasks that actually move the needle in your business, which is researching, applying your research to your design, so designing, and then listing on Etsy. Those are the top 3 things that are going to move the needle right now in your business.
Yes. That's what I say. There's 2 ways, like in my opinion, 2 ways to make more money on Etsy, because it's a horizontal game on Etsy. It's not like Shopify where if you have one product in your shop, you could and you're running ads to that one product, you could pretty much scale that infinite until you hit the whole market share of the ads platform that you're running on. Where on Etsy, because there's limited amount of volume that you can hit, right? The only 2 ways to make more money is launch more things to sell and get your ads budget to the max. And once you get your ads budget to the max, there's no other way to make more money on the existing product line other than making more things to sell. So it's very important that that's a consistent engine that's being ran all the time. Any other hot tips that you have to help Etsy sellers grow faster?
So grow faster, absolutely. So when I first started, I did not run any ads, in which I'm glad I didn't, because I would have been running ads to listings that weren't winning designs. I probably would have lost a lot of money. So I waited until I got a little bit of organic traffic. And then once I felt like I had an understanding of like how to create winning designs, how to write my SEO so that I was driving traffic, things like that, I started running ads. And that really did help grow my shop faster. Because it got... Here's the thing about Etsy ads that's really helpful is every time you have a conversion on your listing, so someone has made a purchase, you get bumped up in the Etsy algorithm. And so you're able to rank for those more competitive keywords faster and get sales faster. And so it really does help you to scale your shop faster. And tools like Profit Tree are so helpful because basically when you first start running ads, you don't understand like your basically your return of investment. And I didn't know how to do it strategically. Like I was just like running ads on everything. And I didn't understand that like I should have been paying attention to see which ads were performing and scaling those and putting money into those ads and then turning off the ads that weren't working. And it was also, I don't think I necessarily saw the value in that. Like I just saw the money going out the window for ads, not realizing how much like profit it was actually bringing my shop. And it's hard to determine that without a software that like gives you live feedback on like how much profit you're actually bringing in from those ads.
Awesome. Well, that's really cool and super exciting that you're a Profit Tree user. So thank you for that. All right, cool. So we're gonna ask one crazy question before we get into the end here. But what is the one thing you are never gonna stop striving for until death stops you?
Until death stopped me. Just bringing new value to everything I do. And just like, and having fun. Dang it. Bring fun back.
It's not fun. What are we doing? Why would it?
It's not fun. Like, forget it.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Where can people follow you, stay updated on all the Etsy trends, join your live streams? We obviously, well, I'm going to answer the question. All of those links are going to be underneath this video. You can just go on YouTube as well. Look up Passive Income Angel. Well, you'll find all this live streams, all her other amazing videos. But again, the links are going to be down below. Angel, this has been so much fun. Like I learned a lot. I didn't know anything about those trends. I didn't know that Printify gave away all of that stuff for $5 a month. So that's absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Such valuable resources. So awesome. Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll get you on here. Yes. Hopefully we'll have you back on here soon.
Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely. Bye guys.
See you. Bye.